Hello and welcome back to the Be Elite podcast, where we dive into deep discussions, explore the uncharted realms, and occasionally we wander off the beaten path. I'm your host, Ben Allgaier, here to guide us through the untapped territories of thought and innovation, unpacking what it means to be elite. Our guest today is Stratton Brown, a former collegiate star and aspiring NFL athlete turned real estate mogul. After an impressive football career at Fresno State and a stint with the Seattle Seahawks, Strat pivoted to conquer the real estate world, now boasting a 7-figure portfolio and a thriving virtual assistant business. All magicians. Strat, welcome.
Bro, thanks for having me. Thanks for such a good intro. I need to do that on mine. I usually just hop into it.
Man, ChatGPT does wonders. I can take all your info from everything that you've posted and throw it into chat, and it pops that out.
Oh, yeah.
So we met, over a year ago at Investor Fuel in Nashville?
Yeah, probably like 2 years ago. And I almost fought a homeless dude.
I remember that. Yeah, that was like 3 a.m.
Like 3 a.m. That's when I know I've had way too much to drink. When I told the homeless man to punch me because I'm not giving him any fucking money. That's how you know someone's had way too much to drink.
Was that the night we smoked stogies, or was that a different night? Those nights all blurred together.
I think that was the night where I don't know if it was me and you, but we went everywhere looking for cowboy hats. Maybe it was me and Yankee.
I think that was you and Yankee, yeah. Because the next night,
spent like 2 hours looking for cowboy hats just because we wanted to wear them.
Yeah. Well, they have a million of them. It was just 3 a.m. You can't find them at 3 a.m. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, dude, your story's awesome. And man, I've since that, year and a half, 2 years ago we met, man, I've looked up to you and all the stuff that you've built, that you've put together. So yeah, let's take a look under the hood, kind of take some time today. And we always start off with our pivot point. So I've seen you talk a lot in other interviews about kind of your experience to get to the NFL, transitioning into an entrepreneur. You seem to have this consistent work to kind of create that edge that's going to get you to the next level. Man, how do you kind of evaluate those pivotable opportunities and decide what to go after next? When, I know I have shit that's constantly being thrown at me, and kind of diving through that minutia and figuring out what's just a shiny object and what's not. Like, how do you evaluate those things and decide on what to go after next?
I think it's hard. I think the more you're in business, the easier it gets because you've been exposed to a lot more. But like at the beginning, Call Magicians was just like a shiny object, and we just pivoted that company to virtual help. Like we renamed it and pivoted it because I think cold calling will go well for the foreseeable future, but within the next, let's call it 2 years, it's going to be really, really hard. And I see AI being an issue. And so that pivot was, we wanted to be able to address a different market of just overall virtual assistants, not just a call center. And so it was like that. But then as I look at opportunities now, like I have a big check in front of me that says Stratton Brown sold the company for $80 million.
Love that.
It has my name on it, right? And everything else. And so when I'm evaluating something, it's like, is the opportunity vehicle you're operating in going to get you where you want to get to and as fast as you want to get there?
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you want to be somewhat realistic with like you're not trying to like, oh, you know what? I want to be worth $1 billion next year.
Yeah.
Like we're not like going for like moonshots.
Yeah.
But you have to be realistic with yourself and say, okay. And so for like wholesaling, we still do it, but is that the vehicle that I'm going to be able to sell for $80 million within the next 5 years?
No,
I don't. Right. So like, I was like, I don't think so.
No.
And so then it's okay, well, what is the vehicle? And then you got to do all the research and then you keep going down that funnel. But I think it starts with having a very intentional vision of what you want your life to look like, what you want to build. And then you can back out from there and then you can really decide what's a shiny object and what isn't.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Getting that vision overall. And I mean, it's taken me forever, bro. I've had that. I think I wrote that check a year ago.
Did you?
And then I didn't even know what I wanted it to be. And I think we've somewhat founded. It won't be with the virtual assistant company, but a different avenue we're going down. But it took forever. But I still wanted to keep the things operating because we still got a cash flow, right? We don't want to shut everything down.
Yeah.
It's like leaving your 9-to-5 job, right? You don't want to leave your 9-to-5 job without any money coming in.
For sure. The whole burn the boats principle, right? We talk about that a lot. I just, God, there's so many people that say burn the boats and just go down that path. You can figure it out as you go. I don't know if I buy it.
I think if you're built for it, cool, but I don't think most people are built for it.
Yeah.
Like I tell, and humans are very biased. There's like that, what is it? Survivor bias.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks they're going to be the guy on Walking Dead running shit. Everyone. You know what I'm saying? But odds are.
The Rick Grimes.
Everybody thinks they're going to be Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're going to be Zuckerberg. Everybody thinks this, but then statistically speaking, there's plenty of other people who thought they were going to be Bezos who are worth nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so you want to be an eternal optimist, but be realistic. I think if you're young, you should 100% burn the boats because you can live out of a car and like have a gym membership.
For sure.
And nothing matters. Things really start to change when you get children. Like get in a relationship and get children, then you really have to start taking all these other people's livelihoods into account.
Yep.
But at the beginning, I think you should absolutely burn the boats, go for broke. What else do you have to lose?
For sure.
Nobody expects anything for you. And I think when you're young is when you should take like moonshots of reaching out to people too. Because the older you get, the less people are going to respect you for reaching out to them. You know, like
that's a great point.
Like an 18-year-old will reach out to you. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, hell yeah, bro. Like, go get it. Yep. A 40-year-old dude reaches out to you. It doesn't quite hit the same.
It feels a little weird, right?
It feels a little weird, but then like, because they see themselves in you and you hear this all the time.
Yep.
But when I was younger, I wish I would have been more aggressive with my outreach. And social media wasn't quite as big as it is now to like people who I thought were relevant in the space and who I like wanted to get closer to.
So if you were in those shoes, like what would be like your opener for, say you're an 18-year-old kid, you're wanting to get started in real estate. Like what would that opening look like if you were reaching out to somebody that you looked up to?
Man, it's hard because what I did out of college, I just worked for a guy for free for a year.
Yeah.
Like I just went straight commission only. I'd probably tell you to do the same thing. Like, hey, if you have any like sales positions open, I'd love to work for you for a year.
I love that.
Work to 2 years to like learn the ropes. Yeah. And then I'd sign like, hey, I'll sign like a 1-year non-compete with you, whatever you need. I just want to bring as much value as I can to your company. I'll work for free. I'll figure it out. I can work 2 jobs and make money on the side when times are slow.
Yeah. But
if I was reaching out to someone to connect, I think that's the easiest way to bring value in the real estate space is like be a sales rep for someone.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little hard. Some people may not want to. I don't like hiring people who like want to go into the space because that's what I did.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of time and effort into someone who's just going to leave you, you know, and that's not really what you want to invest in. But then other people are like, yeah, like I got you. And so I'd say if you're trying to get into real estate, that's probably the way, or just learn it on your own and start doing deals and then just send the people you want to work with deals.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes for any business, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be real estate specific. You can kind of do that in a lot of different facets of business. Is just, I mean, there's a million people that'll reach out to you and say, hey, dude, can I take you out to lunch or take you out to coffee? I mean, if I don't know where you're at, but I don't have a ton of time to go and have a million lunches with a bunch of different people who are reaching out, trying to figure out how to get into the space.
I think it's hard.
I think that's been played out too much now of the, hey, let's go to coffee. Hey, let's grab some lunch. Like, I don't know, somebody told me this once and it kind of worked. If you want to get access to somebody that's in a different level than you, provide value to them.
Yeah.
To where that then now they look at you and go, okay, you provided value. Let me reciprocate, give that back. So
it gets hard though because like sometimes if I want to get connected with Elon Musk, I can't bring Elon Musk.
Well, true.
You know what I'm saying? And for some people, you might as well be Elon Musk. Yeah. You know, so like you got to be really intentional with what value you think you could bring. And I think it's just gotten bad with social media over the years with the like asking to go to lunch, because I remember in college when I was going to the league, or I think right when I got home, I don't know when, but I asked my old landlord, my college landlord who I lived at his house, was like, hey, I'd love to take you out to lunch and I want to know exactly how you did this. and like bought rentals and everything else. And so he took me out to lunch.
Really?
But yeah. And so I don't think he got necessarily blown up all the same, but being very cognizant of other people's time too is the thing. Like you said, my calendar's crazy. Like your calendar's the same way. It's just not on a calendar. You know what I'm saying? Because like you got meetings, you got to go get projects. So you got all these things where if you are going to take someone's time, I tell you to be very, very intentional with exactly what you want to get out of it. And if you can just come prepared with like notes, like, hey, here's the things. I've Googled them already. I do not have answers.
Yeah.
This is what I'd like to talk to you about. And then going and taking copious notes, then go out and take action on everything they said. That's how you will maintain that relationship.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that you can do is take advice from somebody and then not implement that advice.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I just took your time, I wasted your time, and then I didn't do anything with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wild. So, man, you're constantly doing, I mean, from what I can see, you're constantly doing new things, right? You got your what is it, Deal Makers?
Yeah, our Deal Champs brand.
Deal Champs.
We got that meetup. It has like 3,000 members. And so we have that, and we go from like Bakersfield all the way up to Sacramento. We do some joint stuff in Bakersfield. We do some joint stuff up in Modesto. So like within a 2-hour drive each way is how big our meetup is. And like there's nothing, I don't see anything like it across the country with like how big our meetups are.
No, I have nothing here in my market. And we've talked about this in the past. Like, I mean, you guys started that by collaborating with other people who were seemingly competitors back in the day, right?
Yeah. So Jason inherited his from a dude named Don Costa who quit doing it. And then I started one with the guy who I was working with. And then he was like, bro, you can take it. I don't want it. And so I started one, and I started hosting it when I was getting going again on my own. Like I hosted one in my house one time, and I just had like random people show up to my house, and I just told them about wholesaling. And then I hosted something like this place called Bitwise.
Yeah.
And we didn't sometimes Kalani would show up and no one would even come. And so I just like, okay, let's go home. Like no one showed up this time. When it really started to take off was when I brought in speakers who were respected in the community, who were like crushing it, because everybody wants to hear from them. Nobody wants to hear from me. I was just getting started.
Yeah.
Right. But everybody wanted to hear from the speakers who were actively crushing it. And so that's when I started to get bigger crowds. And then we started to do just still how-tos mixed into there. And then me and my friend Jason I met Pace and Jamil at a mastermind years ago. And then I met him again at another event, and they were doing like their Pace and Jamil Do America thing right before COVID. And so I hit him up. I was like, hey, we'd love to bring you out. So we flew him out first class, picked him up, took him all around Fresno, did a bunch of cold calling, made content with them. And then after that, that one had like 400 people.
Wow.
And so that was like that was our first big one. Then COVID hit, and that was just me and Jason. And then I think it was that was 2020. So maybe at the end of 2020, 2021, at the end of 2021, Dean was like, hits up me and Jason. I remember the phone call. I was coming home from snowboarding in Salt Lake. He was like, bro, we need to do these together. Like we don't have a really big addressable market. And if there's 3 different meetups in a month, it's just going to drive everything down.
Yep.
Just like overall viewership. And so he was like, let's just all join up together. You guys have already hosted a couple together. Why not just do it all together? And so that worked out a ton. And then I don't even know. Then we started throwing events. For some reason, we wanted to throw an event. So we threw an event with Pace and Jamil. Again, like another 400-person event. We threw an event with Carlos. That was like a 250 to 300 event. We threw another one. I don't know if we've thrown 3 of them. I think 2 of them. And we brought all that there. And then we were like, well, we should probably start a podcast. And I don't even know why we did. We just wanted to. We wanted to do like the wholesale hotline style.
Yeah.
And so that's where Deal Champs came from.
Love it.
And then now we're hosting a really big event in Fresno on April 19th and 20th. And that one will be exciting because we are spending the most on like a venue that we have. We got the nicest place within like a 2-hour drive.
Really?
And we're trying to go all out on that one. The marketing for that will be insane. The VIP parties on that one will be insane. I'm really excited about that. But that's how that Deal Champs thing started.
Yeah.
But the meetups still played into real estate to kind of round all that back.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that was all I started the meetup just to bring me deal flow.
Yep.
And so that's how the meetups got started. Call Magicians got started just for some side income. That was probably the most shiny object. We have another company that does some government tax credit stuff. And I'd say that was a really big opportunity, but still a little bit of a shiny object. I knew it was a money grab, and it was worth it. We took that thing to 7 figures in 18 months.
Wow.
At like a 80 to 90% profit margin.
Wow.
And so that one was really good, but it was a shiny object. But I was like, okay, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to try and make millions was my goal. We only ended up doing like 7 figures, very low in the millions. And it wasn't like 20 million. But so the way I looked at that, I was like, okay, I think it's here. I think I can make $20 million with this if I can really like knock it out of the park. I got like a 64x or 68x return on my marketing spend 2 years ago.
Wow.
I was like, if I can continue this, I'm going to take this thing to the moon.
That's wild.
And so I went out and I raised money from 3 different investors, and then we just started marketing.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we're still doing that. That company still does. It's only doing like a 5 to 6x right now. We're ramping it up again because there was the ERC credits.
Yeah.
So they slowed down because the government slowed it down. But we should still probably see, if we hit an 8x, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to do it that long because I have to wait like a year to make money. So we get...
Is that how that works?
Yeah. So like we can book the revenue and everything else, and we know the money's coming from the government, but then the government still has to pay it out. And so that's like that downside. And that's why I had to go raise money, and I couldn't just like go put it on credit cards.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know when we were going to get paid.
You can't hold 30% interest.
Exactly. Like, because we spent hundreds of thousands on it, and I didn't want to spend hundreds of thousands.
Yep.
And so I just gave up equity and did a profit split with them.
Nice. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. So you're, like I said, you're doing all kinds of different things. Well, and one of the things that you do really well is your personal brand. So
thank you.
I mean, your personal brand on social media is solid. Like, obviously you got the name Strat Daddy locked and loaded. People know you. So anyone who's listening, those people out there that are trying to build a personal brand, number one, me included, like what are some of the principles that you followed to get that to the level that it is, and what are your goals moving forward with that?
Principles I followed to grow it.
Yeah. Or was it just more of like a shotgun approach? I'm going to post as much content as I possibly can.
If you go back to the beginning, and I remember talking to Steve Trang about this, him and his old partner, Max, like one day I just woke up, I was like, I'm going to be a guru. Like, I really want to like go full in on being a guru. And I'd like started saying, I'm your guru's guru. And I had no business saying that, right? But I was just, I wanted to be, you want to be more bold on social than anything. Like, you have to be divisive. You have to stick out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll just fall into it.
For sure.
And so like I started doing quotes of the day off of just like a book that I'd read. I'm like, hey, this is what I read. And so I think my first one was, no one remembers what you said, they remember the way you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I made like a minute video about that. And then I did that for 30 days, just out on walks, like pushing my son in the stroller.
Love that.
Was my quotes of the day. And then I just kept building. At a point in time, I bought followers because I wanted to be able to sell stuff out of a swipe up when it used to be there before everybody used to do link clicks.
Yep.
And it kind of messed with my engagement, but at the same time, the amount of credibility that people think I have for having followers is insane. I'd say right now it's probably 50-50 real to fake. So I got like 15 real, 15 fake at this point.
Okay.
But with that, people see that oh, wow, you have 30,000 followers. Oh my God. It's insane the amount of credibility in speaking events and everything else. And I tell everybody, like, yeah, half of them are fake, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't care. But at the same time, anyone who you see on social, more than half of them are fake. I know a couple who are real.
Yeah.
Like Austin Rutherford's.
I was going to say Rutherford. Yeah. That guy.
Austin's are real. Like,
yeah.
And I know Austin pretty well. And his DMs are always at 100.
Are they really?
He could answer 100 and it'll just go back up to 100.
Good
like
God.
Austin's engagement is crazy.
Man, I've followed that guy for a long time.
My overall goal with it is I just want to keep growing it because I can use it as, and I made reel about this, like a short-term video clip about this today, it gives me so much leverage to do anything I want in any company and grow anything I want, right? I can go raise money. I can get deal flow for whatever type of deals I'm looking for.
Yep.
If I'm looking to acquire companies, I have to pivot my brand a little bit, but then I could eventually bring deal flow. And I haven't even told this story yet. We started looking for home service-based companies and blue-collar companies to buy like in October.
Okay.
And so I started cold calling myself just to like establish relationships.
Yeah.
Just to talk to these people, because I can't have like someone from the Philippines do this.
Yeah.
Sure. Someone's netting $1 million a year. They're not just going to talk to one of my people, no matter how good they are. And I want to build that relationship.
Yep.
And so I get a guy, he was like talking to me and everything else. And then we'll just talk a little bit. And he was like, yeah, can you call me in like a week? I call him in a week. He says, yeah, man, I talked to my son about some dude who wants to buy the company. He said he follows you on Instagram. He's like, bro,
no way.
Dad, we need to sell to him.
That's
He can show us how to do real estate. I was like, oh, wow. Like that's like a full circle of like brand investment. You know what I'm saying?
Wild.
Like, he's like, oh, Strat Daddy? Yeah. we should sell to him, because if we sell to him, he can show us how to invest in real estate.
Did it work? Did you get the deal?
No, he wanted too much, because I got a certain amount that I'm trying to buy on like their net profits, and we just weren't aligned there, which is fine. Yeah. If they grow it bigger, then I can pay more. But so in that respect, it like took that full circle to where it adds credibility and it adds reach. And I mean, so I can get deal flow, raise private money, what else? Credibility. It really just gives me everything. And Hormozi used this. Ray Dalio is going on people's podcasts. For those of you who don't know who Ray Dalio is, he is the world's largest hedge fund manager. Well, he stepped away now, and he is exceptional. Like, he's one of the best thinkers of our generation.
His book is phenomenal. Principles by Ray Dalio. Anybody listening, grab that book. It's thick, but read it.
Right. And so if he's going on podcasts to get more media exposure, and all these other people, I mean, Neil Patel, who I'm a massive fanboy of. Yeah. Massive fanboy of this scrawny Indian man. He has a podcast, right? So you can name off all these really, really good entrepreneurs who have podcasts and social brands, because they understand the leverage and the value that it brings. For sure. So for me, it's just to keep growing it. Even if I'm not monetizing it, I don't care, as long as we're seeing consistent growth, because it eventually I can be like, okay, here's what we want to start pitching hard. Yeah. To where we want to monetize it in some way. Maybe it costs people money, maybe it doesn't, right? Whatever the ask is, but then I can use it.
Well, I think that's one of the things that we're moving into. Like the world that we're moving into now is moving towards personal brands. You're building relationships, you're building trust. You don't even know these people, right? Like that's the reason that I started this podcast, because I wanted to. It was twofold. One, actually, it was threefold. One, I wanted to get better on camera speaking, since most of the stuff that we put out there is on camera. Two, I wanted to build relationships with people. Like people like you and people like everybody that we look up to, people that have podcasts, get access to those people. Three, I wanted to do exactly that, was be able to use this in whatever form as just a litany of content that can be pushed out to build that credibility and to continue to build that brand for, like you said, the potentially maybe one day down the line you can offer something. But I mean, it goes back to the whole Hormozi thing of push as much free value as you possibly can until you have something worth selling or worth giving out to people and asking for something. So yeah, I think your brand has been a hell of a brand of pushing all of those kind of things. Like you provide a ton of value from what you put out.
Thank you.
The 2 years that I've been following you.
And the relationships is a really for a podcast. I think a reason I have a podcast is to build relationships with crazy people. Yeah. Like I'm interviewing a dude whose company he's like in his 30s. He took a marijuana growing company public like 5 years ago. And so I'm interviewing him. I'm interviewing another dude with a 9-figure company.
Wow.
And I interviewed an AI guy who has a really, really good AI implementation service. And so I get to like bring people into my ecosystem of things that I want to learn about, or struggles that I'm going through, and I can get very, very niche on those questions I want to ask those people. And then the bigger the brand, like the Nelk Boys interviewed Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying? So if you have,
they have nothing to do with Elon Musk. That's nothing that they do has anything to do with it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's wild. God, I think I saw something about that, but never, I mean, did you watch the podcast or didn't get it?
No, I don't know if it was like the Full Send, whoever the Happy Dad dudes are. They're the ones who interviewed him. I didn't watch it because I just feel like they wouldn't ask any questions that I thought were relevant to me. Like, it'd be entertaining. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it would be anything that I would find worthwhile as far as implementing into my day-to-day life.
Spending an hour and a half of your life listening to something that just for a couple laughs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point, is the placing a strong emphasis on building connections. And man, I watched you do it when we were in Nashville. When are we gonna name drop? I guess we can. When Eddie was out in the main area, this dude has built massive businesses. He owns what, 70 plus businesses. He came out of his speech and you were out there, and I walked out to go grab a drink or something, and you're just chumming up with this dude. I'm like, good God, this man knows exactly what he's doing. And like, how do you, in your brain, how do you just tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to go talk to that guy? And then, I mean, how do you even engage and relate to somebody like that? Because I know neither one of us owns 70 businesses that are worth a couple $100 million.
I need to break down my question framework because I was curious. I think the biggest thing is curiosity of the way I like finding out the way people think, and I like finding out about the way like a company works, and then like their cultural frameworks and the way they think about things. Because like I wasn't doing any talking. I really just had a bunch of questions that would come up. And if you look, I had a pen and paper next to me, and I would write down something that I thought was good, and then I'd write down my next question. And it was just me asking questions. I made a podcast about all the questions that I asked him and like what I learned.
Really?
And there's a billionaire who goes to my cigar lounge, and like he's a legit worth like $8 billion, and he's a farmer. And the same thing, I just like sat down with him one day. I was like, Dennis, what's going on here? And I just sat there and I smoked with him, and I kept asking him questions because I was curious.
Yeah.
And so I found that if people know you're genuinely curious and they see that you are hungry and you want to go implement, that always works out in my favor. And if you have good questions, they always want to answer because they haven't heard them before.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, okay, bro, I see this and this. My logical conclusion is this would happen. How did you handle this situation? Because I would want to kill myself. Right. Like it's like something that I see like that just leads to it. So I mean, I wonder how that happened. But I think just following your own curiosity on the questions to ask and knowing what they specialize in will help you out a lot, right? So with the farmer, I really wanted to know, it's a family-owned business, so I was just interested, bro, when did you actually feel rich? Like, how long has the family been in it? What's your work ethic like? How did you raise good kids? And then like he'll like expound on that. With Eddie, I think I was more concerned with operational, like the way he operates.
For sure.
Does he have shiny object syndrome?
Yeah.
Because this is before I got like introduced in private equity and stuff. I was like, so bro, like, do you have shiny object syndrome? Like, how much can you actually juggle? Because I don't know anybody who is actually talented enough to run 70 companies. So like, what did that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's calling that out too at the same time. Because like, I have no problem saying, bro, I don't think you're talented enough to run 70 companies. I don't think anybody does. Like, what does your team look like?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they probably respect it.
Yeah. And so then you can just keep on moving forward with that. So it's being genuinely curious to ask the questions, and then you stroke their ego, bro. Because like, sure, I am genuinely interested in them. And so then it's just like being a good dinner table guest.
Yep.
If you don't talk and you just ask everyone else questions, everything goes smooth.
Well, and these guys love to talk about, like, everybody loves to talk about themselves, right? So you ask them questions that light them up, and you can tell when somebody's lit up by a question. They like they stand up, they put their shoulders back, and they're like, yeah, I'm into this question. Now you can run right down that rabbit hole with them for a while, but you got to ask better questions than oh, hey, how did you make $1 billion? Like, that question's boring and they've heard it a million times before. So I've got something I'm genuinely interested in. I know you got a kid, you're balancing a relationship, and I mean, from what I can see on social, it looks like you do a hell of a job at it. How do you do that? Are you? Because I'm terrible at it too, and I am struggling to figure out how to balance that shit, and I'm really bad at it.
Oh man. Luckily, last night, Kalani was like, if you had to make a dating profile for yourself, what would it say? It would probably, I just said, don't date me. Because like I don't, she understands and she's very driven and I'm very driven, so it works out.
Yeah.
But like the relationship side, bro, that is the hardest part of my life. Yeah, growing business is hard, but being present, I think, is very, very hard.
Dude,
and so you gotta, my word this year, I have 2 words that I wanted like this year to feel like. One of them was intentional.
Okay.
Everything to be very intentional. The other one was with gusto. Like I do everything with gusto. Like if you're going to do it big, make it different. Like everything should have gusto, and then be very intentional with what you're doing as well. And so on the dad part, fuck bro, it's hard. I mean, I don't really like working from home as much. When we move, I'll get an office just because I can't, it's really, really hard to separate.
It is.
Right? Having a home office.
Yeah, it is.
But like, so yesterday, I had to go on my walk for 75 hard, so I went with Zeno. And I was like, all right, but you just got to run. And then I made him run hills while I was walking hills. Right? But then that's some time that he gets with me during the day.
Yeah.
I'm always there with him for an hour in the morning, making breakfast, playing music or whatever else.
Nice.
And then at night, I try and get in something with him around like 6 to 7. And then I'll probably come back upstairs and like start working again and like tie some things up that I need to. Bro, it's hard. So I have like this big ass calendar. So like one of my intentional things this year is more date nights and more Zeno days. So I wanted to get in, and this is really, really bold. I wanted to get in like 30 days with Kalani and 30 days with Zeno.
You mean like full
like
days?
Full day. Yeah, like I wanted to get in like a full day, and that's a lot.
It is.
So I was like, okay, if we can go 20 and 20 and 20, so we do 20 family days, and that's easy. A Sunday or Saturday can be a family day.
Yep.
And then 20 days of each, I think that's possible. And so I have like, okay, last week I got date night in, but we didn't really, and we got a family day in, but I didn't get a day with one of them. So I got to work that in sometime this week. And then I have like our meetup, and then I have a bunch. This year, my goal is to take 8 different trips that are unique trips. I'm a really big fan of Jesse Itzler.
Yeah. Dude.
And like the way he applies all that.
Yep.
What else we got a trip to Maui. I want to go to Japan for a month.
Yeah.
December.
A month?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I want to like see it.
Well, yeah.
If I want
it takes 4 days to get over there.
Right. I mean, right. It's going to take me 4 days to get over there. And then maybe a month's too long. I mean, last year we went on like a 45-day trailer trip.
Yeah. I remember.
So that was really fun. And so like doing stuff like that is very memorable, and then I can use it for social, for more marketing.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
So for my birthday, exactly. Like for my birthday, I want to do like an event. Mark Evans, a mentor of mine, does an event for his birthday every year. He's like, bro, you might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He's like, you're working all the time anyway. Use your birthday for something to make you money, like an event or something. Like if I'm going to do something, I might as well do it and have it benefit me in some way.
Okay.
Right. And so like, do I want to do like a birthday charity event? Do I want to like do a birthday? You know what? I thought about this one. We got a bunch of these Orbi Nerf guns. I go buy a bunch every Christmas time. When I go back to Salt Lake, I buy like 6 new Nerf guns every year for our house. And so we have an entire arsenal in Salt Lake of Nerf guns. And so we got these new ones, and I was like, oh, there's like these $150 ones. What if I just call up 8 of my friends and tell them, hey, come over to my house and we're going to have a war, and these things fucking shoot. Right. But like I make content out of it, and then I make a good core memory. Or if I want to do a charity event, I can make content out of it. I can donate to a good cause and make a good core memory, whatever it is, but using your birthday for that.
Yep.
And then what else do we got? The Deal Champ stuff, birthdays, quarters. And then I just have my green sticky notes are dates that I've committed to just making a trip. And if the time comes, it's that day and I got to go get a plane ticket, then that's what I'm going to do.
One of those what does he talk about? Once every 8 weeks?
Yeah, it's like once every 8 weeks or something, do it that way. And so I think he does 6 a year. And I wanted to go 6 to 8. I was really pushing for 8. Like one of them right there. I wanted to go to a college football top 10 football game.
Wouldn't it be cool if who, other than Fresno State, obviously, who else are you a big fan of?
Washington's head coach used to be Fresno State's head coach, so I was cheering for Washington last night.
Yeah, that was a big
University of Utah.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of University of Utah. I didn't go to the Oregon-Utah game. I mean, Utah got slaughtered, so it's not a terrible thing. But that one would have been like a good game to go to. And then my girlfriend likes football too.
Oh, really?
And so it's even more fun where I could go with the boys. What else? We go do Tough Mudders. So like me and my 2 best friends, they have this, what was it, a month ago. It was me and my best friends and then their dads. We all went and did the Tough Mudder together with a bunch of, so it was us, our dads. One of my best friends couldn't come, but his dad still came. And we essentially walked an entire Tough Mudder and did all the obstacles because they're so old. Right? But then that's a really good core memory. My friend tore his hamstring. His dad has 2 metal knees and a metal hip. Right? So like, that's a good core memory to do with friends or family.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that calendar. I put the whole thing together, right? I had it in my guest bedroom. I walked in, I'm sitting on the couch like messing on the computer, watching TV while I'm working. The dog comes out and he keeps like spitting out pieces of paper. I'm like, what? Where are you getting this? I walked in. He had ripped every sticky note off of the calendar and ate. He ate every. I spent hours putting that thing together. The dog ate every freaking sticky note. I had to go redo the entire thing. I was so mad. Little puppy. It's like having a kid. Yeah.
But they never grow up.
No, hell no. And they're psycho. Can't wait to get him neutered. It'll be the best day ever. All right, dude. Well, let's wrap it up to get you onto your next busy ass part of your schedule. So I'm gonna hit you with 2 rapid questions, okay? Okay. And these are more like to get an idea, like behind the scenes, behind the curtain, right? Of people that you look up to, or like some big aspirations that you have that some crazy business that we would put together if we had all the money in the world. So, first question: if you get advice from any historical figure, any business advice, who would it be? Could be dead or alive.
I think Bezos is a little bit more relatable. Musk is on.
How so?
Like Musk is on the burger side, bro.
Bro, that guy's got something going on.
Musk is maybe it's just the perception that Bezos has been putting out lately of him being buff and being like a bro.
Yeah.
But like I feel like Elon Musk, I don't have that much horsepower. Elon Musk has a fuck ton of horsepower up there.
He does.
I don't think like that. And so I think Jeff Bezos would be really good, especially because he didn't start Amazon until his 30s.
Yeah.
Right? Is when and he left a really good career.
Yep.
And like went after something massive and had a really, really good outcome. And then made it through
forever, though. Yeah. Huh? I said that took forever for him to get there, though.
That is another thing I've learned. Everything is going to take forever. You know, like you're going to be in it for 10 years regardless. It's just what is the 10 years you're going to dedicate for the outcome that you want?
Yep. I think who talks about that? Is that Hormozy who says if you can't do it for 10 years, don't do it for a day?
Yeah. Hormozy says if you can't do it forever, don't do it for a day.
Okay.
And that goes to like anything. It's a really good way to like break down decision making.
Yeah.
But I think I'd want to talk to Jeff Bezos. I really want to talk to this guy named Ryan Smith again.
Okay. Who's that?
He sold a company called Qualtrics for $4 billion back in like 2018. And I got to meet him eating pizza, and he bought my pizza, and I got to talk to him for like an hour.
Wow.
And then that was like a week after he'd sold it. And then he went back to the company and took it public and doubled the money.
Good God.
And now he owns the Jazz. And he was the largest privately held tech company in the world. Wow. And like profitable from day one. And so I'd really, really just like, I would love to talk to him about his journey and everything else because he's a really, really good entrepreneur.
That's wild. Never heard of him, but good God. Somebody who owns a professional franchise, that'd be fun. All right. Okay, so if you could start a completely different business tomorrow, doesn't have to make money, doesn't have to be profitable, what would you do? This is more of like a passion question. Like if you have passion projects that if you could go back, or if you could move them forward, just go and put a bunch of money into, because it'd be fun for you.
I think Sam Altman has the coolest job in the world.
Okay.
I think like going into the AI space would be really fun. Or maybe being a video game streamer.
Yeah. Are you good at video games?
No, I'm terrible now. I used to be like a COD and Halo addict.
Really?
I still love playing Dragon Ball Z. I'm getting my son into playing Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. Dude, I had my very first gaming console, and my only gaming console my parents ever bought was the original Xbox after the 360 come out, because they couldn't afford the Xbox before the 360 came out. And then once the 360 came out, the Xbox went on sale. So they're like, all right, we'll buy you the original Xbox. I'm like, the hell am I supposed to do with this? All my friends got a 360. I can't even play online with them because it's a stupid
that's hard.
original Xbox. But yeah, it was the only gaming system I ever had. So I'm terrible at games.
Oh yeah, bro. I used to play a lot of games growing up.
Yeah, now look at us now. We can't get off the freaking computer enough to spend time with our significant others.
Exactly.
That's wild.
But we're working on it.
We are. We're getting there. 2024, the year for change. All right, bro. Thanks for coming on, everybody watching. Thanks for stopping in. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for having me on, bro.